Hey lineup folks, it's Lev. Welcome back to another video. For those of you who are new, I use he and pronouns. Just a change of location just to spice up videos. Because I have this phone tripod thing now, which makes it really easy for me to just put it down anywhere and just film a video. Today's video is sort of a follow-up on from the video about confronting instead of running, and I wanted to talk about baseline happiness, and not just that, but just like my baseline and what my baseline means in general, and like how you can find your baseline as well. So just a disclaimer that what I'm going to be talking about in this video is not like scientific research evidence or anything. It's more my experiences and my conceptualization, and I call it baseline happiness. I don't know what other people call it or how other people conceptualize it, but it's my experience and my own idea of it, and it's not scientific research or anything like that. As most of you would know, like our mood fluctuates up and down. It's not like necessarily constant across the minutes, hours, and days of weeks, months of our lives. Like natural fluctuation happens because we're human and life happens and our mood can fluctuate. But what am I saying? My baseline happiness. What is my baseline happiness? So it's like how I've been feeling over like a certain period of time, like 1 or 2 weeks. Like how happy have I been feeling overall? It's like the middle ground. If fluctuations are up here and down here, my baseline happiness is like this line in the middle here. And I'm going to be talking about like other baselines as well in this video, not just baseline happiness. So I guess the next question to ask is, why is knowing my baseline happiness and normal baseline important? And this is not just for happiness, it's like for everything. So knowing my like normal baseline is important because it will allow me to determine when I'm like slipping off and going downhill into sliding downhill into rock bottom. So if my normal level of happiness is here, my normal, I'm not like comparing this to any other person's, understanding my own normal, my normal's here, and it can tell me of when, okay, maybe good things happen and I feel super euphoric and I'm just like on this high, or things are slipping downhill and I need to do something about it. And it's not just mood. So for example, my normal behaviors would be exercising 3 times a week, boxing, kickboxing, martial arts training 3 times a week. And my normal behavior, another example, would be brushing my teeth twice a day and regularly socializing with friends. And that's my normal. That's what I do on a daily basis, and it's my regular routine behaviors. And for example, if something deviates from it, like I just withdraw from my friends and don't talk to any of my friends for 2 weeks, that's a sign that I've deviated from my normal behavior and I've gone this way. And for example, in terms of like something super euphoric, I don't know, I can't really think of anything. So another example of like going downhill for me is like I don't drink alcohol. I don't like alcohol. I don't drink alcohol because I already have existing health problems. So if I just start drinking alcohol, I don't even drink any amount. So if I just start drinking alcohol, like going to a club and like drinking a bunch and like getting drunk, that's another example of me deviating from my normal behavior, and something, it's a red flag that, hey, something's actually going on here and I'm not okay. It's not like I'm not okay if I start deviating like that. I'm not okay, and something's going on and I might need support, or I just need to work it out. The next question I'm going to ask myself and answer in this video is, what influences my baseline levels? And I should also say that my baseline level can like go up and down. Like it's not necessarily middle ground, can be down here for me. For example, right now my baseline happiness and like general mental functioning, my general mental health is up here because my brain is processing more about what's been happening recently, and is figuring out ways to manage it, and I'm also seeking support for it in the near future. For example, I'd say 2-3 weeks ago when I just broke up with my ex and the whole chaotic shitstorm happened, my baseline happiness and mental health was down here. And I was down here for a few weeks. My baseline was down here. I just kept feeling very apathetic, feeling very sad, feeling very disconnected from the world and myself, as in like I didn't feel like talking much to my friends. I've sort of gone into social withdrawal a little bit. I just didn't have the energy to do anything. I didn't have the motivation to do anything. It was more me in survival mode. So at that point in time, my baseline was down here. But now that I'm healing from it, and some time has passed for my brain to process what's happened more, and me doing what I can to improve the situation for myself, like not lying to myself, being honest with myself, the internet, and all of my friends and family, my baseline happiness and mental health is up here again. So this is 2-3 weeks ago, my baseline was at a low level. Right now, it's at a moderate level. Like I'm not like super living in like super excitement, but I'm also not feeling apathetic every single day and not feeling like doing anything. So my baseline level right now is here. As for what affects my baseline level, a lot of things. Also, what affects fluctuations. So the main answer is life events for me, like life events and how how far my brain has gone into processing it, and how well my subconscious, especially because a lot of my brain processing of events that happen don't happen consciously for me. It happens in the works of it happens in the work of my subconscious and unconscious, and once it's done processing, it sort of delivers it to my conscious so I can be aware of it. But right now, like still processing the whole breakup incident with my ex, it's still going on in my subconscious, and it's not ready to be presented to my conscious yet. Like all of these other insights and wisdom and lessons that I need to learn from it. Another thing that seriously affects my baseline and how I feel is whether I'm lying to myself or not. I mentioned this example in the other video, but I'm going to mention here again. For example, before I came out as trans, I kept lying to myself that I'm not trans because I was scared of the truth of me being trans, and I didn't want anyone to find out, and I was dealing with a lot of internalized transphobia at the time, and I thought trans people were abnormal, and I didn't want to be one of them because of everything I've learned from like the world I live in, being very cisgender favored. I kept lying to myself for years, and even though my subconscious was like, Lev, you're trans, stop lying to yourself, hello, the answer's been right here, can you listen to me? My conscious was like, nah, I'm not trans, go away, fuck off subconscious, I'm not listening to you, I'm not trans, stop hassling me. And then they reached my baseline, my happiness and my mental health was like down here on a low, because firstly I kept lying to myself, and in lying to myself my mental health deteriorates, which in turn makes my physical health deteriorate, because for me mental health and physical health strongly interlinked. For example, I feel sick a lot. I feel a lot of nausea, and it's not because I ate some bad food or anything like that. It just happens when my mental health goes downhill and my body's physical manifestation of this distress is in the form of nausea. So I feel sick a lot. Anyway, back to my example. Yes, my physical health kept going down because I kept lying to myself, and I didn't want to confront things. I didn't want to confront the truth that I might be trans, and so I kept running from it. And as I mentioned in the other video, the longer I run from something, the worse everything gets, because one day, I mean, sooner or later, I would have to confront it. Like, I can't keep running. I can't keep running my entire life. It's not going to work. So it was only after I confronted, in this example, the truth that I'm trans, that I confronted it. I'm like, unwillingly accepted it. It was better than even unwillingly accepting that I was trans at first was much better than me continuing to run. And sort of linked to this was before I went to testosterone. My baseline was down here, and everything I did, I went to therapy, I saw my friends, I did all of these activities to distract myself. I tried positive thinking, yada yada yada. All of that was a great distraction, as in, if my baseline was down here, I kept feeling sad all the time, had really dark thoughts. It was down here. For example, doing boxing brought my mood up here. Once the high and fulfillment from boxing died down, I returned back to my baseline, which is down here. And the only way I got my baseline from down here to up here again was to go on testosterone, and once again, to stop lying to myself. Just thought of another point that I briefly touched on in that previous section of the video, was we always return to our baseline. I always return to my baseline. Like, things happen, my mood goes up, my mood goes down, but one way or another, in the end, I always return to my baseline level of like general mental functioning and like happiness level. I always go back to it. Like something, like for example, earlier today, I was filming a little music video for my friend because it was her birthday. I wrote her a song and then I filmed a music video for it. I felt so happy and euphoric and excited about it. My levels were up here. But now that a few hours has passed and it's sort of worn off, as that excitement and high cannot last forever, I'm back down here. So I went up like this and then I went down and now I'm back here. Same with, I guess, adversity. The more better I get at dealing with adversity, the, I guess, the more stable in a way my baseline is. So even if I experience adversity and my mental health does decline a little bit, it'll go down and then it'll go back up relatively quickly due to, what is that called, resilience. That's the word. More resilience I have, the more I bounce back from adversity. So it goes back to my normal level relatively quickly, and I don't stay down here. And talking about my baseline levels in the past, for example, when I was during my teenage years and early uni years, when I was still experiencing severe depression and severe social anxiety, my baseline happiness and ability to function as a human being was definitely not the level that I'm at now. It was constantly down here. So I constantly felt scared, anxious, nervous. I constantly felt sad. I constantly wanted to die, constantly suicidal. It was just down here for like years, repeat. It's just down here. And there were some happy times. I'm not saying like when I experienced really bad depression, anxiety, I never felt happiness. That's not true. It did go up. There were times I experienced happiness. It went up here. But then again, as I mentioned, I always go back to my baseline level. So at the time, my baseline level was down here. I went up and then it came down pretty quickly. My return to my normal baseline. And my baseline behaviors at the time were withdrawal, avoidance. Because of my anxiety, I didn't feel confident or comfortable talking to people much, and because the anxiety in my head kept telling me I was an idiot and that I'm a fuck up and that no one likes me and that everyone hates me and that it's not even a mistake in my anxiety. In reality, objective reality, it's not a mistake, but then everything I do socially, my anxiety tells me I'm an idiot. So I believe everything I did was a mistake. And then that was my baseline. Withdrawal, not very talkative, very reserved, didn't stand up for myself, just in constant survival mode. That was my baseline at the time, constant survival mode. Comparing that to now, my normal levels again are up here and not at like rock bottom constantly or day in day out. And part of like this better improved baseline level of normal is because of neuro rewiring. I like referring to neuroplasticity a lot in my videos because just because I was in a situation and that it was my reality for many years, it doesn't mean I am stuck in that forever. It's not like, okay, I have experienced anxiety and depression, therefore I will experience it my whole life and that I am doomed for life and that I can never get out of this cycle. It's not like that. I'm not saying it's an easy journey. It's like fucking hard to break out of depression and anxiety. And I also did have a lot of professional support. I had a clinical psych helping me a lot through my journey, so I definitely did not go through this alone. And it's okay to seek support, whether it be informal or professional mental health support. Any sort of help seeking is okay, and it doesn't matter how many times we've been to therapy before, but we can go as many times as we need, and it's nothing to be ashamed about. Anyway, back to the video. Setting a new baseline involves setting a new normal for us, setting a new normal routine, maybe new normal behaviors, new normal ways of thinking, ways of living life, just changing all of that. And then that neuroplasticity is like when our brain literally changes its shape and its wiring in response to learning, our environment, our lived experiences. It's constantly changing. It's not a fixed thing. So my neurocircuitry when I experienced severe depression and anxiety is not the same neurocircuitry I have now. Otherwise, if it was, I would still be in severe depression and anxiety and experience it on a daily basis, but that's not the case. To finish up the video, I want to say that knowing our own baseline is important. I think I answered part of why it's important, but it's also important because it can highlight to us, or highlights to me, what is working well as well and what needs to change. Like if my baseline is here and I keep going down here because of my experiences or some circumstance in my life or my behavior or the way I'm living my life, etc., if it keeps going down here and it's not improving, then I know that something has to change. Something isn't right and something has to change. And in the context of mental health, for example, if you know your own or your someone in your life's baseline behaviors, this is not just happiness anymore, baseline behaviors, mood, the way of living life, etc., if their behaviors and stuff deviate from their normal, then it might be a sign that something is not okay for them. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, like I don't drink, that's my normal, and if I start going clubbing and then drinking a ton, then that's a clear sign that I'm not okay. That's just an example. So yeah, your friend or someone in your life or your own baseline may, I guess, behaviors and stuff might deviate from your own baseline. That might be a sign that something's up and something may need to be done. Something maybe may need to be addressed, or yeah, something like that. So it's important to know so that anything that deviates can be picked up on, and it may be a sign for something that's not going so well. Thanks for watching, folks, and I'll see you in the next video.